remember once we were on a set, the director says, I want a real native. I said, I want a real native up front. I want to see the real thing. We couldn't find one.
Native women, on the other hand, are pretty much absent in the Western.
I knew I could count on feminine curiosity.
Except, of course, for the Indian princess, epitomized by Pocahontas.
Why is this woman, the Disney Pocahontas, such a profound image, a mythic image for American people? What about children who know nothing about Native society? And they see this young woman who has this one-shoulder, skimpy dress that she's wearing, and she has Miko, a raccoon that she communes with. Well, the reality of Pocahontas is that at the time of the contact with John Smith and this event, you see, she was about 9 years old. And so we imbue in her all of the wrong notions of what we want to see in a mythical princess. And she becomes the embodiment, not of Native society, she becomes an embodiment of American society, of American desire.
And Native men are reduced to a mere caricature.
Richard Lamont, one of Hollywood's biggest costume designers, knows firsthand about how Hollywood dresses up Indians.
Yeah, a finger necklace. I don't know what show it was, but I'm sure somebody saw that in the research, you know. Yeah. Where they used body parts or whatever as trophies, you know, made a necklace, whatever. If you look at the movies in the 30s, Native Americans, I want to say much like African Americans, were sort of props. Rather than try to make them look regional, everybody was identifiable. So they weren't interested in explaining the tribes. They said, well, they're Indians.
Canelo, this Indian's no Indian.
If he's no Indian, why is he wearing a chicken for a hat?
So to keep things simple,
Every Indian becomes a Plains Indian, wearing the headdress, buckskin, and the headband.
That's not a headband, is it?
Yeah, there probably is a headband.
Headband.
Yeah, and it's probably just
Like the ones we were talking about. The ones that never existed. Headbands are an interesting thing. Certainly certain Americans, Native American tribes did use headbands and wear headbands. But the Plains Indians, usually not. But when you're working on a Western and you have stunt people and they're gonna fall off horses, you need to keep their wigs on, and that's the best way to do it. So Hollywood started putting headbands on Plains Indians, and then it just got to be a thing where you saw it in every movie. Headband with an elastic back, something you'd never find on a Native.
This is actually, well, probably not calculated, is an ingenious act of colonialism. You are essentially robbing nations of an identity and grouping them into one.
and the Western forces all Indians to live in the deserts of the Southwest. John Ford shot so many movies here that tourists come by the thousands to experience the iconic American West. And to pick up a memento of America's greatest Indian fighter.
Break out the grain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
John Wayne is an icon of American cinema, one of the great action heroes in history. His actions, which are remarkably violent, seem excused, actually, that this is the exact appropriate behavior one would have.
In The Searchers, John Wayne literally uncovers a grave with an Indian person, a dead Indian person in it.
Jorgensen! Why don't you finish the job?
And shoots him in the face.
Ain't got no eyes, he can't enter the spirit land. Has to wander forever between the winds. You get it, Reverend. Come on, blanket head.
He embodied the idea of the unstoppable American, that the true American wasn't native. Native Americans were the ones that stopped real Americans from settling their own country.
I found 2 Navajo elders who were extras in some of John Ford's films. Effie and James Etna were teenage sweethearts when they met on set. They're seeing these films for the very first time. James can remember how many of the Navajo actors would go off script in some scenes, joking around in their language. No one ever bothered to translate what was said until now.
If I do not return, General Quate will find you, and you will be dead and all your people. No, he is not a fool. You are.
After playing the bonehead savage for so many years, the Navajo get their sweet revenge. Right next door to the Navajo is a place where anybody can be a cowboy for a day.
We're out here on vacation. Come on out and have a good time.
Even an Injun like me. Here they worship one man. His swagger is screen legend. His name, the Duke.
John Wayne never did a bad movie, okay, partner? You got it? All right, Pilgrim. And now where's the little cowboy room? I gotta do a wee-wee.
Everybody's always fantasized about an age when individuals were very strong. The lone guy traveling across the wide landscape and dealing with all the elements. Everything from rattlesnakes to who knows what.
There's always this kind of John Wayne, a guy that is sort of the moral standard that represents America and its moral values. So it's a big, hunky white guy that's not real smart, but's gonna do the right thing, and he's gonna drive the Indians away and marry the schoolmarm and walk off into the sunset.
Oughtn't to go too far, Miss Dallas. Apaches like to sneak up and pick off strays.
I'd like to thank you for the use of your Mustang, lady, and apologize for the spur marks on the dashboard.
Who's the quickest draw here?
Who's the quickest? I would say maybe Windy Bill.
Probably Windy Bill. Where's Windy Bill?
That little fella right over there.
I'd like to challenge Windy Bill.
You bring it on, cowboy!
Oh, the gun's stuck in here.
Oh, it's stuck in there. Yeah, here we go.
All right.
I'll let you count.
Okay, on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Whatever number you want.
4.
As a kid, I didn't realize it was me Bugs Bunny was killing off on screen.
1 little, 2 little, 3 little Injuns. 4 little, 5 little, 6 little Injuns. Uh-oh, sorry, that one was a half-breed.
Yes, sir, I'd sure love to kill me.
When we were kids, we used to play cowboys and Indians. I was always Gary Cooper.
Those images do shape people's opinions, and I think they put it at odds a bit for me. You know, when you're kids and you're trying to play cowboys and Indians, and if you're an Indian kid, well, doesn't that mean you're gonna lose all the time?
When we watch the Indians getting slaughtered at the end of every movie, well, my brother would refuse to watch it. Every time that bugle went off and the charge started, my brother, he was a year and a half younger than me, he'd go like this. And he wouldn't look, he wouldn't watch. But we'd come out of those theaters after the cavalry had rescued the white people, and all of a sudden we'd hear, "There's those Indians," and we'd start fighting. We had to fight them white kids. Every Saturday we knew he was going to get in a fight.
I'm here to find out how Native kids today would react to the kinds of Westerns I saw growing up.
So, what you understand, I want you to listen real carefully and find out what they're talking about, okay?
The film is Little Big Man, where an Indian massacre was made graphic and real for the very first time.
And I am the sole white survivor of the Battle of Little Big Horn.
Little Big Horn was not representative of encounters between whites and Indians, Mr. Crab. You see, the near genocide of the Indian.
The near what?
Near genocide. It means extermination.
See, when they got off the boat, they didn't recognize us. They said, "Who are you?" And we said, "We're the people, we're the human beings." And they said, "Oh, Indians," because they didn't recognize what it meant to be a human being. I'm a human being. This is the name of my tribe. This is the name of my people. But I'm a human being. But then the predatory mentality shows up and starts calling us Indians and committing genocide against us as a vehicle of erasing the memory of being a human being. So they used war textbooks, history books, and when film came along, they used film. You go in our own communities, how many of us are fighting to protect our identity of being an Indian? And 600 years ago, that word Indian, that sound was never made. On this hemisphere, that sound, that noise was never, ever made. Ever. We're trying to protect that as an identity, see? So it affects all of us. It's reached a point, evolutionarily speaking, we're starting to not recognize ourselves as human beings. We're too busy trying to protect the idea of a Native American or an Indian. But we're not Indians and we're not Native Americans. We're older than both concepts. We're the people, we're the human beings.
Thank you for making me a human being. Makes my heart sad. A world without human beings has no center to it.